Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You ready to get spooked a little bit?
Always.
Well, this time we're diving into a story about a woman named Mara and a house with a pretty creepy past.
This one's got a bit of everything. The paranormal true crime.
So many twists and turns.
Absolutely.
So Mara, she's going through a divorce
Right.
and looking for like a fresh start. Needs some peace and quiet, you know?
Makes sense. You know who doesn't need peace and quiet? Ghosts.
Right. So anyway, Mara finds this Victorian house for sale.
On Blackwood Lane.
Yeah, Blackwood Lane sounds creepy already.
Oh, it gets creepier.
So this house, it's everything you'd imagine in a Gothic novel.
Mm-hmm.
All secluded, ivy covered, total fixer-upper.
But super cheap.
Like suspiciously cheap.
Right. Like, what's the catch?
Exactly. And at first Mara's loving it. She's all about like the character and the charm, old houses.
Full of history.
But then things start to get a little weird.
Little things at first. Like a book moving in her study.
Oh, no.
Or a door she knows she locked ending up unlocked.
I hate when that happens. Like if I just gone crazy.
Right. It makes you question everything.
Yeah.
Then her cat, Binks, starts acting strange.
Cats always know.
They do. He starts avoiding the basement. Like, totally refuses to go down there.
Oh, that's bad news.
And then the whispers start.
Whispers. Like actual voices.
At first, it's faint, like the wind or something.
Okay.
But it gets clearer. More like voices.
Oh my God, I would be out of there so fast.
But Mara's trying to be rational. You know, old houses, they make noises.
But then what?
She hears it one night, clear as day. Someone whispers her name.
Nope, I am done.
She's understandably freaked out, so she decides to, she sets up her phone to record audio overnight.
Smart thinking.
And that's when she captures it. A voice on the recording saying, "Help me."
No way.
Chilling.
Right, absolutely chilling. So, okay, we've got whispers. We've got a creepy recording. What does Mara do?
She starts digging into the history of the house.
Makes sense. Gotta know who you're dealing with, right?
Exactly. And that's how she learns about Eleanor Grayson, who lived in the house back in 1902.
Okay, so over 100 years ago, what's Eleanor's story?
Well, on the surface, it's like a picture-perfect life, married to a wealthy businessman. You know, the whole deal. But
There's always a but.
Mara starts talking to some of Eleanor's relatives, and a very different picture emerges.
Oh no, what happened?
Turns out Eleanor's husband Thomas was abusive controlling, kept her isolated.
That's awful.
And you have to remember, this is the early 1900s. Domestic violence wasn't really talked about.
Right, it was like a family secret.
Exactly. Women didn't have a lot of options.
So what happened to Eleanor?
Well, she tries to leave Thomas several times, but he always pulls her back in. Then one day she just vanishes.
Vanishes, just like that.
Gone without a trace.
And no one investigated.
Thomas claims she was sick, then later changes his story and says she ran off with another man.
But something doesn't add up.
Right. Especially with everything else Mara has learned. So she starts to think maybe there's more to Eleanor's disappearance than anyone knows.
Okay, so now we've got a haunted house, a missing woman, and Mara's stuck right in the middle of it all. What happens next?
Well, remember those whispers.
Well,
Mara decides to follow them.
You're kidding, right?
And they lead her straight to the basement.
The basement. Of course.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
It totally is. So she goes down into the basement, following these whispers. What does she find?
She finds a hidden alcove concealed behind a brick wall.
Behind a brick wall. Okay, now I'm really creeped out. What's in the alcove?
What she finds is truly horrifying.
Don't leave me hanging.
A skeleton hidden within the alcove.
A skeleton. Oh my God, I knew it.
It's like all the pieces of the puzzle start to come together.
The whispers? The recording Eleanor's disappearance.
And now a skeleton in the basement.
This is insane. So what does Mara do? Does she just run out of the house screaming?
Well, she does what anyone would do in that situation. She calls the police.
And that's where things really get interesting. You've got the police showing up at this house with a skeleton in the basement and a homeowner who's talking about ghosts and whispers.
It's going to be a tough situation for them.
Right.
Like, do you believe her, or is she just a little too imaginative?
Right. I mean, imagine being that officer. You're trained to deal with, like, facts and evidence, not ghostly pleas for help.
But then Mara plays them the recording.
They helped me.
Yeah, and suddenly it's not so easy to dismiss.
That's got to be a game changer for the investigation.
Oh, absolutely. It goes from crazy lady in an old house to, okay, there might be something real here.
And I bet the detective starts looking at Mara differently, too.
Yeah, he actually acknowledges her role in all of this, tells her she's helped uncover a real mystery.
It's like she's not just some scared homeowner anymore. She's part of the investigation.
Right. She's the one who brought this to light.
So they're taking it seriously now. What happens with the investigation? What do they find out about Eleanor?
Well, once they have the skeleton, they can confirm it's her through forensic analysis.
So it really is Eleanor.
And they start digging into Thomas's life a little more.
The husband?
Yeah. And it turns out he wasn't quite the upstanding citizen he pretended to be.
Oh. What do you mean?
There's evidence of some shady financial dealings going on and rumors of a pretty nasty temper.
So not the perfect husband after all.
Not even close. And it all starts to point towards him being responsible for Eleanor's disappearance.
I mean, it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? He had the most to gain from her being gone.
And back then, it was a lot easier to get away with that kind of thing, especially when no one was really paying attention to what was happening behind closed doors.
It's a reminder that things aren't always what they seem, and that we should never judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Once the skeleton is removed from the house, all the weird stuff stops.
Really? Just like that?
The whispers disappear.
No.
Mara says the house feels lighter, almost peaceful.
It's like Eleanor's spirit was finally able to rest.
Like she was tied to the house until her remains were found and the truth was revealed.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
And then there's the message on Mara's phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
After the police leave, Mara finds a message on her phone. It just says, "Thank you," followed by a sigh.
Chills. Literal chills.
It's as if Eleanor is acknowledging Mara, thanking her for helping her find peace.
Wow. Okay, so we've got a haunted house, a century-old cold case solved, and maybe even a message from beyond the grave.
It's a crazy story, right?
It really is. It makes you wonder what else is out there. What other mysteries are just waiting to be uncovered?
And what would have happened if Mara hadn't listened to her instincts?
If she hadn't bought that house.
Yeah.
If she hadn't paid attention to those little signs.
Eleanor's story might have stayed buried forever.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the most ordinary things can lead to the most extraordinary discoveries. Okay, so we've heard the story, we've looked at the evidence, but what does it all mean? What can we take away from Mara's experience?
I think one of the biggest takeaways is the importance of trusting your gut. Mara had those little red flags early on, those whispers, the cat avoiding the basement.
Yeah, and she could have just ignored them.
Right.
Just told herself it was an old house making noises.
Exactly. But she didn't. She paid attention to those feelings, and it ultimately led her to uncover the truth.
It's like sometimes we have to be open to the possibility that there's more going on than we can see.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the paranormal either. It's about being aware of those subtle cues in any situation. Those little things that tell us something isn't quite right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people could benefit from that kind of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the element of persistence.
Yeah.
I mean, Mara could have just moved out, packed her bags, and said, forget this.
She totally could have, but she didn't. She kept digging, kept asking questions. And because of that, she was able to bring a century-old injustice to light.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. This woman just wanted a quiet place to live. And she ended up solving a cold case and maybe even helping a restless spirit find peace.
It really makes you think about how we're all connected in ways we don't even realize. Like maybe those creaky floorboards or flickering lights are trying to tell us something.
Maybe they are. And I think Mara's story is a good reminder that we should listen.
Definitely. Now, another thing that struck me about this case is the historical context. We can't ignore the fact that Eleanor was a victim of domestic abuse and that the societal norms of the time made it incredibly difficult for her to get help.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to think about how many women suffered in silence back then.
It's a reminder that we need to keep talking about these issues, to keep fighting for justice and equality.
Absolutely. We can't let history repeat itself. So for everyone listening, if you see something, say something. If you think someone might be in trouble, reach out. Don't stay silent.
Exactly. Because you never know. You might just be the person who makes all the difference.
And sometimes the smallest actions can have the biggest impact. Just like Mara's decision to buy that old house on Blackwood Lane.
And to listen to those whispers.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What mysteries are hidden in your own life? What whispers are you hearing? And will you have the courage to listen?